What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 18, picking up from the converted tower. So before we get started this episode, I did want to give a brief recap, as there are a lot of NPC quests. There's a lot of areas to cover and items to get in the area. It's a pretty big region all in all. So when we first got into this region, I told you guys there is a very specific way you have to do the area, or you're going to miss items, depending on which NPC you meet first, and things like that. So with that being said, at this point we have fully wrapped up the eastern side. We have knocked out the bottom half of the lake and covered various quests. So this episode we will be picking up from the converted tower, but we're going to knock out the west coast. However, we got to start from the bottom here. I do believe this is going to work best. So from the converted tower, we're just heading on foot northwest for your next fight with your Erdtree avatar. Now this you can't really miss. I don't really think you need a marker. It's right by your Erdtree. Right. So there's going to be two loose enemies on the way up. You're going to have that gentleman, your marionette, and then right over here you're going to have your Erdtree guardian. So these guys are always around Erdtrees, and then, your avatars. Now, this avatar boss is the same as the last. Eventually, these fights will be different as far as what the boss is going to do. We'll fight versions of these guys that do rot, and, other statuses. But right now, it's pretty much the same. So with our upgrades, using fire damage, we're pretty set up for this. Now remember, all we really want to do is wait for him to attack, dodge, charge heavy. Don't want to get greedy. Really watch your time. Just one hit here, one hit there, rolling or blocking, whatever you want to do in between. You got the time a little bit off there. It's a little tight. Don't want to keep it too close to the vest. Now he does have some combos he can do where he might, swing his weapon twice instead of once. That might be some caution, like how he did, right there. There's what we're looking for. Now I notice a lot of times you kind of get fucked at your critical attacks. Like you show up, you're hitting R1 and nothing's happening. So if that happens, you're not getting that off, go ahead and just try to use, heavy attacks while you're dust without the biggest amount of damage. What you want to do, buddy? Thank you. Big swipe. That's going to do it. So this guy gets you 2 more Tear Spirit Flask. One's going to regenerate mana, and then the other's pretty cool. It makes you explode. So the way you would use this is you're going to want to, so there's your Cerulean, that's for mana, and then Ruptured Crystal Tear, there's 2 of these. But you'd want to put on Opaline Bubble Tear, and then your Ruptured Tear. That way, if you go into bosses, what it's really used for is Cemetery Shade. Fighting that guy's a nightmare, because he's so rapid, he's got a bunch of guys around. So what you would end up doing is you would put in your Ruptured Tear, Opaline Bubble Tear, because it makes you explode, you take a bunch of damage, boss takes a bunch of damage. It damn near will one-shot the boss. But to negate the damage it does to you, use Opaline Bubble Tear. And I think that's the best situation to use for. There's other bosses it works for too, but that's the biggest pain in the ass, Either way, with him out the way, where we're going next is not on the map. You can't really see it, but if, there's nothing else going on. So we're going to take this main road, and right behind the tree, we're going to kind of curve to the left and go back this way. There's like a catacomb like right here, but you can't really, see a thing going on. If you guys want to put that up on the map, feel free to do so. Now, on the way up, there might be 1-2 few loose enemies here. I know there's, I think, 2 guardians, but it's not really anything crazy. So if you follow the trail, it's eventually going to start opening up, to a wider area. And that's where you're going to shoot left at. So just kind of use that as a guide. We'll take him. And then right over here, and as soon as you go left, you're going to see your statue up there, too. We've already covered how those statues always point to catacombs. Thank you. And then you're going to see your jellyfish as well. Now, as we work our way to the catacombs, there's one of my favorite ashes of war. So this is like physical, full physical ashes of war. But when we get our more unique wet knives, later in the game, we'll be able to put like frostbite, blood loss, faith skilling, fire, and all types of really cool things to make these physical actions for better. But it's still a very powerful action for. So it's called sword dance, and you'd assume let's put it on a sword. And why that is kind of the point You can actually put this on halberds and bigger weapons. And what I like about this, it doesn't go on any weapon, but what I like about it is it makes these heavier weapons come out really fast for the weapon art. I do want to take the time to show this off. It's really neat. It's really neat. So if we go over here to Ashes of War, where's our bigger halberd? I think we just picked up the, because we don't have many halberds yet. Yeah, so spear, halberd, whatever you like. But with that, we go on down. Where are you? Right here. Sword dance. Affinity doesn't matter. We're just trying to show this off. Now, this is a phenomenal weapon. It's a basic weapon, but it's still good. Because, yes, somber weapons stand out. But, fully upgrading basic weapon, changing affinities. Some can be stronger than most somber weapons, the right hands. But look at that. Whop, whop. And there's a follow-up. You tap again to do a third slam down. So, look how fast it comes out. Ooh. A big weapon like this is also going to, give a lot of posture damage and, things of that nature. So, pretty cool. Then we picked up this last episode. So, I love about this. We showed how to do various quests online and offline. So, I felt like online was pretty straightforward. Doing it offline sent us way over here to Altus, which we had to carefully navigate. Right, that sent you over to the ruins over here, right, the Blood Ruins, but you had to carefully navigate so we didn't trigger the Radon Festival, which we didn't, but doing that invasion got you a Somber 6 and this weapon, which is absolutely phenomenal. So it comes out really fast. It can definitely go with our build, too. We're probably going to put it on for a bit, but yeah, I mean, you're getting blood loss on it. It actually gives you health back every time you hit an enemy, which is super cool, so if you go to read about that, Bloodstained Star is a ill omen. A fact not lost upon those against whom this weapon is brought to bear. Landing attacks slightly recovers health. So while it's not much, it's slightly, it's constant. It's always going off. So it's a really, really good weapon. There's a reason they don't give it to you until about mid-game. It's strong. I said before, the best weapons in the game you get around mid-game. They do very well with making sure you have enough time to actually use them, right? There's some really good ones in-game, but I think that's just more about choices at that point. They're not necessarily better than the mid-game weapons. So until that point, we'll just kind of put together what we got and, get some pretty strong builds. Now, as soon as we go around this corner, you got your gnomes. These are actually called fang imps, but they kind of look like gnomes, so that's what I call them. Oh, we got the forked greatsword. Nothing too special about it, but it is a rare drop. Now, anytime we're doing catacombs that are, filled with these guys, you're always just holding your shield up as you go around corners. You guys know how they are. They're sneaky as shit. They're kind of a pain in the ass. Alright, so we'll pull that. That's already your boss lever. This catacomb, all in all, is pretty short, I'd say. Now, the boss room's like right under here. There's a few illusionary walls and stuff, but what I like to do is just get to the very back, then work your way forward. Because, like I said, the boss is kind of in the front. That way we don't miss any stuff. Because there's weapons, there's summons, there's all types of stuff. And there will be a guy hanging here, so we're shield up, counter, done. Now, go in this room, there's going to be 3, well, after this room, there's going to be 3 of your fanged imps. One on the left, one on the right, one straight ahead. So it's probably best just to come in. Now, the one straight ahead is probably going to be coming for you at this point. It lines up quite nice. So he wakes up, he's already done for. Alrighty. Now this guy gets your next summon. This one's not bad. It's the Ryu Lucaria soldiers. So they use magic 2-foot soldiers and one with the great sword. It's actually a pretty strong summon for this point, in my opinion. Now I haven't really upgraded summons because I haven't found any I wanted to go for. We probably will, because doing the walkthrough, I want to make sure I'm being a good influence and getting on you guys about doing your upgrades and stuff like that. But typically I'll wait till like the really good summons. You know what I mean? There's a lot. There's so many summons. I couldn't say how many, but I'd say at least 40 or 50. I'd have to go through 150 notes, but there's a lot, There's 1 or 2 that really stand out amongst the others that just makes you not want to use anything else, Just takes a while. So Watchdog Staff is the Burial Watchdog's weapon you saw. Does the weapon art that shoots the glintstone pebbles, which does magic damage, but it's actually a pure physical scaling weapon. It doesn't do like magic on every hit or anything like that. Where are you, son of a bee sting? Right here. So DD is going to be quality, strength, dex, 165 plus your scaling, 19 pounds, and then the weapon art is sorcery of the crozier. So that is just going to shoot out like an arc with glintstone pebbles, but it's a physical scaling weapon. Because when you see the Ash of War do something magic, for me, I considered it to mean, okay, it must be like a strength int weapon, but it's not. And it's a somber weapon too, so no change in affinities, guys. Alright, so go down here will be your second illusionary wall. And what we're going to do is go on down for the boss. Now this boss can be the easiest boss fight in the game, or it can be the hardest. I'm going to explain why. You haven't even encountered any of these guys, but there are these spectral snails, we will call them. Now, these spectral snails, what they do is they're invisible. You cannot see them. And then they spawn in very difficult enemies. So what you would typically have to do, like this guy's going to spawn in, of all things, a fucking Crucible Knight. So you'd have to put down the Crucible Knight, and then you'd be able to see the snail to cause a little bit of damage, and he'd something else. Crucible Knight again, you have to kill the Crucible Knight again, and then kill the snail. What we're going to do is just look for a very, very hard thing to see, which is a little outline of the snow. You'll see a little bit of fog while he's invisible, and that's where he's at. So right now, as soon as you go in, just ignore the Crucible Knight, straight back right hand side. So you see him call, right? Spirit caller. But we don't have to fight this guy. We can completely ignore him unless he gets on you. But you notice there's like a little fog there? That's the snail. Okay, so he hops. Now, if he hops, you're just looking for that, that little cloud again. Which is usually over here on the right-hand side by these posts, but he could be anywhere. Don't see him yet. Just look around. There he is. Right? No. Oh, it's just the fog come up the light. Usually he'll go right here, but I don't. Oh, there he is. Yep. You see, he's really hard to see, but that allows you to just ignore the Crucible Knight the entirety of the time. It's not something you can always do with them, but you can do it a few encounters with them, right? So Glintstone Sorcerer Ashes, it's kind of like the main mage enemies from the zone, which is kind of weird too if you think about it, because it's a magic zone. You ain't really seen any of those yet. Either way, guys, with that, I guess we could just jump back to the start. Let's go ahead and see where our levels were after last. Because after last episode, that was the last one I was doing yesterday. I don't even remember our levels. I remember, yes, we had health done. Oh, we did get stamina to 20. We want to reach 25. But as I said, with our talisman on, I feel like we got some time. So this will be our first level where we can start getting on into our damage stats. And I do believe that's going to be worth our time to do. Now, I really wanted to use this. So the thing of it is the recommended weapon for the build is Strength Faith. That's the recommended build. We won't get it for a while, and I like the Spear for Faith. So I was telling people, if you guys want to go like Faith, Faith Dex, then when we get our weapon choices, we'll respec back into Strength. I'm not going to do that. As soon as we take off the Talisman, if we can't use a Spear anymore, that's fine. There's other weapons. We're going to stick to the Strength Faith because I hate to mix it up. It's a really good weapon. And for that matter, too, guys, if you want to follow along the recommended build, whether you go strength or dex doesn't matter. The recommendation is really just about having a physical build with faith. Whether that be dex faith or strength faith is really just going to depend on which weapons you like to use, right? But the thing of it is, we want solid melee scaling, and then we want to be able to cast incantations, and that's what it comes down to. So if you'd rather do dex, stick with it. We'll be able to respec when we take out the main boss of the area anyway, so that's coming up. But, strength faith's where we want to be. Now, this has shit strength scaling, but we'll probably be swapping this out for that when we reach the stats, or maybe that. Now, from here, this is another one that's really hard to see, because you're going to go up and get on the main road, but when you do that, you may miss Revenger's Shack. It's like back here in the woods, kind of. It's kind of hard to see. So you stay up top or go to the bottom, doesn't really matter. Just trying to get in this wooded area. You see that? Now, there's the Revenger's Shack. May have been a bit off, but that's about where it is. But yeah, if you were to take the main road, you'd go right past it. You wouldn't even see it. That's why when we were doing Hyeda's quest in, what was the girl down south? The Weeping Peninsula? Arena's quest. So when we delivered the note to Arena's dad, and he came back to her dead body, I said what would happen was he'd avenge her because he thinks you killed her. So he's gonna, invade you in the area. But if you didn't find this very hidden shack, he wouldn't invade you. You'd miss your Shibuya grape. So what we did on the walk is we killed him right there, got our Shibuya grape, grabbed our other two, and we've already completed almost all of the Grape Lady's quest besides her last step, which we'll be we'll be doing shortly. So this is where he would invade you. We decided not to take the chance, right? So getting here, he's not going to invade us as typical. So you'll miss an invasion event, but it doesn't. You're not going to miss any items from it. So it's more of us just being careful. So I'm not worried about you guys not being able to find this, kind of tucked off location. But there's no real reason to go here besides just to talk about the quest. While we're on that note, because we can just jump back right where we left off, we're actually going to jump back to Bellum Church. We did the full Grape Lady quest, and I was going to wait until later to do this, but there's no point. Because when we did the invasion with Vike, he gave us the fingerprint grape. So you give her 3 Shibuya grapes to cover this quest quickly. You come out from Godric the Grafted. She's here at Lake Facing Cliffs. Then you would go over to these ruins. She's out front. So you get your first one from Arena's quest when we killed her dad. So we turned that in here. Then we picked up another Shibuya grape right after Godric. We gave that to her here. Then after that, she goes over to Gatetown Bridge. And then the third and last Shibuya grape is actually in these ruins. And then you turn that here. Then she'll jump up here to Bellum Church. We went ahead and did the invasion as said. With that, we got the fingerprint grape, which is the 4th, right? And this is the final one. So once you give this to her, we're set up for her quest. We will not see her again for a very, very long time. But this is an important step that does lead to you getting the hidden trophy ending. So this is very important, right? But with that, we are fully caught up. You're actually doing good, kind of run through this. I mean, there's quite a bit to do. Like I said, this episode, we're just trying to get up to Carry Manor. It's too big. It needs a whole episode to do all of it. So we're going to be stopping right here. But, we've already knocked out quite a bit. There's not that much going on, just a few things. So, 15 minutes in, we're looking pretty good. Now, same thing, guys. We're just going to keep moving north. You can go back here and check, but besides some crafting, you're just not really going to find anything, so I guess we can run through quickly and show you. Alrighty, y'all. So next up is an Everjail. So this Everjail is just a big troll. He's a mage, like the one we fought where that battle took place over by Gatetown Bridge. Where is it? We were coming up right by that tower. Those guys were fighting each other, and we fought the spectral troll. That's what this guy is. So a couple charged heavies. Rinse, repeat. You guys know the drill. Alright. Now, eventually, you're going to fight versions of these guys that don't have a hit. If that happens, you cannot get critical attacks. So when you knock them down, you got to make sure to hit them with whatever biggest moves you have. If you cannot, get this off anyway. Right? And that's the biggest damage you're going to get to is critical attacks. It does make it a little bit more difficult. Be careful. Don't want to die to an easy boss. This guy's name's Balls. Don't want to die to Balls. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Yeah, just easy fight. He's aggressive, does a lot of damage. Oh no, it's not that bad. Now this guy gets you a pretty damn cool spell for intelligence ability. That, the area is the mage zone. So by the time you come out of this, mage build's going to be set up quite nicely. Glintblade Phalanx is more of a defensive spell. There were previous versions of this. This one's just much better. So it puts like 3 great swords above your head that you'll cast before a fight. And then during that fight, they fire off one by one, kind of staggering the enemy, making sure your other spells or melee hits are landing, right? Now, as soon as you take him out, you don't really have to put it on the map. It's just right here. There's going to be a few bats and a harpy. So the first time you take out harpies, I've already told you guys, you're going to get a really, really good room for where you are in the game typically. Now they have a grab attack, and it really sucks because what they're going to do is like breathe poison down your throat, and it's as bad as it sounds. Line it up, y'all. Line it up. Yeah, so they'll grab you, blow poison right down your throat, fuck up your health bar, and then put a poison status on you. It's not good. Not good at all. Just a small encounter. Got you room 6, which is very nice. Now we're going to be going over here to the left-hand side uphill. Before we do, once again, not much happening here, but there is one item to pick up. It's consumable. I guess we could do this when we do the top portion of the lake, but, you know, there's no real need. It's just right here. And you can just go through, get your roll fruit, whatever you want, you know, if you just happen to see stuff. Does not push or look. Those guys are obnoxious as shit. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. And as far as our build too, if you're doing the recommended, what I like to do is once, you know, we got our base levels to a good spot, you know, I mean, health, stamina, stuff like that. When it comes to damage, I like to do increments of 5. So if I'm doing dual stat, I'm doing 5 to strength, then 5 to faith, and try to keep those level. I think, you know, that's really important to do. Now, we're getting 5 levels from faith from that, so that needs to come off soon. So yeah, we'll put 4 more levels into strength. Then we're going to get this up to 20, because this is actually a little bit behind. I forgot this was on. You know, we'll get this up to 20. That way we can take this talisman off. And then as soon as we're reaching requirements for weapons, this is out of here. We want to get this off as soon as we possibly can. It's very important. Either way, guys, get back on task. But I did want to bring it up, because it's kind of the best way to do things. We haven't talked about the build much, because it just comes so slow. But, you know, towards the end of Liurnia, we'll really be getting into that. Either way, you're going to get here and just see a mess of roads. What we're going to do first is the 4 belfries. So, you're going to just take this road uphill, sticking to the right-hand side, just follow all the way up till you see these structures up top. Now, along the way, there are going to be 2 huge spectral trolls. Fight them, don't fight them, doesn't matter. You could get their sword, but I'm getting you guys their sword next episode regardless. So they have this really crazy strength and colossal great sword you can farm. But we find this in Carry Manor, it's guaranteed. So quite a bit left to do. We're not going to waste the time on it. Now the way the 4 belfries works is there are 3 areas you could actually be teleported. So everyone has a teleporter besides the one at the top. So first we're going to be going all the way up. But to unlock the teleporters, you need to use imbued stone sword keys. So these are going to be stone sword keys imbued with magic, meaning you cannot use regular ones. So there are only the exact amount you need, and it's scattered all around the world. So you can't really do the 4 belfries right now. There's one specifically we want to do, as it does tie into Nefeli's quest. But if you were to go right over here to the first one, you're going to notice a chest. That's going to get you an imbued stone sword key right there. See, so it's very different. Then you're going to have 3 towers that, what they really do is take you to late game areas, to an area you will not be able to reach late game within those zones. Kind of like up off a cliff or, you know. So we won't be able to do these late game areas. It just since it's to a secluded spot, you might say, so it'll make sense in a second. Now when you go up, there's these little notes. So this says Precipice of Anticipation. That's the one we want to take. One is going to send you to a very late underground region. The one sends you to Farum Azula, which is literally at the end of the game. But once you see that Anticipation, that's what you want to go. Because we're going to go all the way back to the start of the game. And where we're going is actually called the Chapel of Anticipation. So it's, you know, kind of a good way to keep track of which one's which. So as I mentioned, this is important to go ahead and tie up Nefeli's quest line. Not in full. We can't fully get her quest done until mid-game. But we can get everything up to that point done. The few collectibles. So this is where you originally started the game from. Not here, but the other side of the store. So it leads to that same grafted scion again, the guy that killed you. So I said, you know, you can spend a bunch of time here and try to fight him and beat him right at the start. Or we'll just come back later. You know, we're going to be much stronger. Much better well suited. And then we get some really good stuff here too. We get a shield. It's a very, very good shield. And then on top of that, we also get this weapon. It's really nice for dex builds. You should have been stabbed. Thank you. He still give you a little bit of trouble. You know, not really. You gotta heal on up. And and that's going to get you ornamental straight sword, which is definitely worth to mention, and then golden crest shield. So I really like this shield. It takes a little bit of strength to wield it. We don't have it. And you're also looking at 12 pounds, so almost twice as heavy. But it's a great shield, especially for spear. You're fully protected. And it's just a good looking, solid gold piece. I really like it a lot. So it'd be good with a lot of builds. Strength, a lot of strength builds. Then aside from that, you got the ornamental straight sword. So this is a somber weapon, so you can expect it to be good. It's just a straight sword. You're not going to have much range. Straight sword moveset. As far as scaling, you are looking at dex. No faith, although it does do something with faith. So what you could do is, just take advantage of physical using it. You could two-hand it, and have two straight swords and get that really nice moveset. Really stack up damage. I think it's the only pair that actually gets that moveset, meaning it is unique. Very good looking weapons, somber weapons, so they're decent. But the big thing here is the weapon art. So the weapon art is going to buff it, now you're getting holy, right? So only dex scaling, but you do get to add another 100 points of damage to holy, and then it changes the heavy moveset. Check it out. Isn't that wow? That is a very unique moveset, only while buffed. So if you're doing dex build and you're using this, you're buffing all the time to get the best out of it. Alrighty. So now that we got him knocked out, we're going to move forward. Now this is where you originally woke up. But going back now is going to give us access to picking up 2 spirits. Now, there are very specific spirits in this game that cannot be used to summon. They're more of quest items, and that's what we're getting here for Nefeli's quest. So there's your main door. We're going to ignore it. We're going to go to the right. Stormhawk King, so that's going to be for Nefeli. And over here on the right, we're going to pop a chest. Stormhawk Dean. So that one you can use. Then we can roll on down. And like I said, this is pretty much where you started the game from, right? Now, if you're doing Various quests and you're looking for a maiden to dip the blood in, and for whatever reason you never made it to Church of Inhibition, this maiden right here could also be used. So, just to show that off. Now that we have that, the Fort Belfries is done. And it's actually going to be better to... Yeah, let's go ahead and knock out Nefeli's quest. No point of waiting. So we've already progressed this quest. We know that Gideon's mad at Nefeli for killing his men because they were slaughtering innocents, and he has disowned her. So going past the blacksmith again. Nefeli's here. We exhausted as much of her dialogue as we could, but without the Stormhawk ashes, we couldn't get any farther with her. So now...
It's pathetic, I know, but... you, please. It's pathetic, I know.
Okay. I thought that we went ahead and went back to Gideon already. Maybe we did. And this is a few episodes back. So once you've interacted with her, you can go to Gideon, and he's going to kind of tell you why he disowned her. Which, like I said, I thought we covered it, but we may have not, because we just weren't ready for the quest yet. Yep, Nefeli's despair.
You've already heard. Indeed. It seemed the whelp harbored suspicion, so I had no further use for her, honestly. What's a man to do? A determined plebeian is more wicked than an almond horn, quite frankly. I suspect that's just what the Queen wants. A dose of ambition to incite the tarnished.
Then we've already talked, you can go about all this. Just more about the stories. Tells you where to find all the demigods for the Great Ruins. And I would like to show it off because it's pretty cool. And if we're ever going to have time one episode, this is the one. So we can go talk about Godric.
Godric the Grafted, Lord of Stormvale. Despite being the blood of Godfrey, first Elden Lord, he's a grotesque old fool, grasping for power. His castle lies upon the cliff to Limgrave's northwest.
So it tells you where to find him.
I suspect you know that well enough, all.
We can talk about the secret medallions we started to find in the world.
Find the Albinoric woman. She hides in a cave to the west of the Laskia ruins, which jut from the mist-shrouded lake of Liurnia. She knows the location of the medallion's counterpart, I'm sure.
So that is going to get us to the Haley Tree very late game. That's where Millennia is. You'll never see that region if you don't do this. Don't find the cave. Don't find the other half at Castle Sol late game. So that's where you learn about it because, as mentioned, caves are not on your map. You can go talk
General
about Radon.
Radahn,
This
the
is your boss from
famed
Caelid.
Red Lion and Scourge of the Stars, is a ferocious warrior.
Yes, he is.
He fought Melania and her rot to a standstill in the Caelid wilds to Limgrave's east. And now Caelid has been engulfed by the Scarlet Rot. Even approaching the region is no mean feat. I've heard survivors of Radahn's army are still in the wilds, staving off the rot with fire. And if it's true, I suspect Radahn is still there as well, in Caelid. Though, I doubt he much resembles his former self anymore.
So, yeah, it's pretty much, giving you lore about the world. And if you look at the map, everything's all green and plush, and then you go to Caelid, it's all red, and it's just nasty, and you got rot, which is, like poison, and that's the lore. So, Caelid used to be like this. Millennia was cursed with scarlet rot, which is like rotten from the inside out, it's, very much like poison. So, lore-wise, Radahn is actually one of the more decent people. As far as the demi-humans, very ferocious but very fair. Well, they got into a fight here, and he actually beat her. She's the most feared warrior in the game. He was actually beating her. As a last-ditch effort, she just exploded with rot and engulfed the whole fucking region. So his, soldiers are here using fire to try to burn the rot away. So you're gonna be dealing with a lot, of fire and rot as you go through there. So just a lot of really cool stuff you guys could learn. You know what I mean? I did want to touch on that because I told you guys before we'd touch on the lore here and there, and it's just been so much to do. I haven't really, had a chance to get into it. So hopefully, that catches things up and people have learned a bit from it because the story here is very good. You just got to kind of look for it. You know what I mean? It's not that there is no story, but you got to work for it.
Ah, you, please. It's pathetic.
So once you have talked to Gideon,
So you know already, do you? Right. It's true. My father cast me out for indulging my emotions, forgetting the mission, punishment for offing his pawns. Rather, Lord Gideon has offered me guidance all my life. I would have done anything for him, to place him on the throne of Elden Lord. And yet though it was not my intent, I betrayed him. And to think he'd
so
order
just to let it,
suggesting was
play
told
out.
he would never
But
see
now
something.
we're just going to make sure all our dialogue's
And
exhausted,
his
make sure
father
that
has
we
me
give
now.
her our summons. So give the Stormhawk
I
King.
can smell the ancient, thanks.
So it just reminds her of
I
something from
don't
her
feel
childhood.
oppressed still. It reminds, thank you.
Now there's more to her quest. So if you kept Gustok alive, if you have done Camp's Heights quest up to this point in the Fellies, there's some other steps where we could lock in her ending and give her just a really good ending to her story. And we are going to have to do that, but we'll save it for when I have time. The only other thing we have to do right now is actually go buy a spell. Where's Corrin? There he is.
Ah, you will then.
Now, be careful because we did go to Altus Plateau. Once you do that, that triggers him to move to his next spot, right? Then he's going to move and you won't have access to your spells. Since we did not rest, we should be okay. Now, what we're looking for is heal. It's very important for a boss. We're going to fight a boss that's known as an undead, but he's kind of different. So with that heal spell will wipe him out. It's fucking crazy. And he's a very erratic, very tough fight, right? So that's going to happen like right here. So this is just to make sure we're all ready and set so we don't have to jump back. So now we're going to jump back to foot the 4 belfries. Now when we get our other imbued stone sword keys, we'll obviously come back. We need 2. So until we have both of them, it don't make sense. We'll just fit it in somewhere. It doesn't take long. It's just, like I said, teleports you to a late game area, which you can't really access besides one little part and get you a talisman. Most of the time, nothing too crazy. So going north from here, there's actually a really dope shield under the part. That's your jellyfish shield. It's really odd looking, it's a great shield, but it has an art that will buff your damage by 20%. But you cannot put the shield away. You have to have it, out and equipped. Now with that, go on down. Try to lure these guys to us a bit. Because this camp is actually a nightmare if you're not careful. There's a lot going on. A lot of enemies. There's actually a lot of guys uphill too, and they're firing arrows, be very obnoxious spells, all types of shit. So they'll try to lock you down. You take a lot of damage. Just really run through your resources if you don't get killed altogether. Let's get him. We have to keep a mage uphill. Take him. Pop this. That's just some consumables for physical build to be able to use some magic abilities, I guess. It's not that strong, just something you could use. Then you got your boy. Go. Get him gone. Drop your health. Drop your health. Drop your health. So heavy, but I want it. Nope, it's okay. Alright, heal through it. So once you got him down, we're just going uphill, circling around to the left-hand side here. There's going to be a few guys, just letting you guys know. You have a caster, you have 2 foot soldiers, a dog, and then you have like a knight. Oh, not good, not good. You. So we have 2 chests here. Albineric blood clots. It's actually a resource for crafting. You typically won't find it till the underground. Then you got a smithing 4, which is still pretty rare at this point. You'll find a few in your castles and legacy dungeons in the area, but other than that, not really. Do not want him to go uphill, but if he does, it's okay. There you go. Alright, so now pulling up the map, we have, you know, all that done, all that. If you guys want to go to the road and wrap it back around here, you can, just to make sure you're not missing anything. But truth be told, it really just leads you back over to the 4 belfries. I've never really, you know, found anything from it, so, like I said, have at it if you want, but there's really not anything here, so what we're going to be doing is going back down to the camp. However, I did want to take the time to show that off. So no one thinks, you know, we're actually missing anything that we're not. Now, going out of here, there's even like 3 times as many guys as you just faced. I might have to rest and load back in if that cart got too far away. So you got the trolls pulling that cart. I think we're okay, but we got to try to stop it before we get to the water, I do believe. Oh, no. And that's the tough part, because you're trying to put all these guys down quickly, and you're so outnumbered. Hopefully they line up, or we can go in with, you know, nice AoEs. Now try to lower those numbers a bit. If they want to come for us, even better. You know what I'm saying? And we'll get the items here in a minute. Right now, just try and get these guys down, hopefully before they kill us. I usually don't spam axes more, but for here, as you see, this makes life so much easier, man. Let's make sure our cart does not get away. We'll get our items, but we're gonna make sure, you know, these guys don't get away real quick. Thank you. There's one. You don't have to kill them, guys, but you're looking at about 2,500 souls if you do. That's up, right? Plus, you know, we are trying to make sure we clear all of our areas in full. That's all. This is the best way to always do stuff, you know what I mean? So we don't need to get a critical blow. Alright, so, and all you really have to do is just smack the troll to stop the cart, right? Which we've talked about that before, but yeah, that's why you have to actually stop the boat. Now this is going to be your next, like, melee mage type weapon. So you got a sword that's going to scale with magic and magic damage. Very fine looking weapon. It's going to be strength int, though, is the thing. I think it has some dex scaling, just not as good. Where the hell are you? It's not a great sword yet, right here. So carrying knight sword. So you're getting even scaling to physical and magic. But like I said, when it's upgraded, I do believe it leans more towards strength. So it does have your carrying Granger, what we talked about before, where the sword grows real big and smacks down for magic damage. So at this point, those are your options for mage builds to have access to just a solid sword that's, you know, still getting magic off, still getting physical. So probably your best choice, although I might like the crystal sword better. But I said before, if you're going for like dual stat build with magic and physical, you should probably do Dex. Dex in it, I think it's a much better build. As far as like the weapons and stuff like that, you'll gain access to. All right. So now from here, we're gonna be going on over to the ruins. Now we briefly ran over here before to get access to EG, which you guys I'm sure got to remember. We never actually cleared it. Now you can clear these enemies if you guys want. It's super obnoxious. Usually I just run past them, get to the boss fight, and, you know, be done with it, because that's what they're going to be doing. They're just constantly teleporting around, and, you know, as said, it's very obnoxious. But yeah, if you want to clear it, you can. There's just not much really here. That's what you're dealing with. Watch the gold dust. It should lead you to where they're going to be. Some way, you know, somewhat. But yeah, that's all that's really going on if you go straight through. Then right here is going to be EG. So before we go any more forward and fight this boss, what we're going to want to do, let's go ahead and put on heal. Not urgent heal, but heal. Now, the thing of this is when you're using heal, if you hold it, it won't go off, right? So it's not going to go off yet. So when you go into this fight, what you want to do is tap it. That's it. Just tap it. Do not hold down L1. It just delays the action. And that's what it tells you on the spell tree. So this enemy being undead, and just so you guys know, it's going to be on the far left, about like right here. So if you go into the ruins, we're going to go to the far left, and then just kind of go here for an invisible stair. And that's where we're going now. A couple dogs on the way, nothing crazy. But this enemy is called the Reverent. That's the guy that came out of the water with like spider legs and goes absolutely insane on you when you first reach the Army Lake. So yeah, he's very obnoxious, but since he is considered to be, I guess, unholy, you're able to use heal. And it might not completely put him down, but it will stagger him and take like half his health. It's fucking absurd. You can cast this twice and just kill him. So I would just, you know, be very aggressive here. Don't waste any time. If you run in, cast right now. Boom. Look at that. He doesn't stay staggered long, guys. Nope. Missed the shot. And that's what we're worried about. It's exactly why we don't want to play with this fucking guy. I couldn't get it off. It's okay. Quickly. There you go. So he took him out with, you know, 2 heal spells. Typically, you'd run down, stagger him, then get over to him, and that critical attack would actually go off. Mine just did a light attack instead, so it kind of screwed us a bit, but either way, it works out just fine. Now, going on down, it's going to get you a really cool Frostbite Rapier. What I love about this weapon, it's one of the only weapons that uses projectiles that doesn't cost mana to use. So I want to show that off right here. So you're looking at dex, you know, no int scaling, no int damage, purely physical, but it does cause frostbite build up at 60 just by, you know, smacking with the weapon. It's like covered in frostbite. So it's really cool if you like rapiers. I never have. But what I do appreciate is the only thing that's actually going to cause you to, you know, like a mana cost is this. and that's very strong. A lot of posture damage. It's got built up frostbite quite well. But what I do like is the regular heavy attacks shoots off frostbite projectiles, right? And it doesn't cost any mana at all. Isn't that cool shit? And you don't even have to charge it to go off. You can just, I mean, probably annihilate the whole fucking game with it. So, very cool. Very much worth a mention. Now, from there, we're going to go back to the road to the manor. I think we're a little short on a level here. Not much. See if we can grab it real quick. About towards the end. I wonder if that gives us the strength to switch out our weapon yet. They said this is a weapon that'll carry you, something that you could, you know, use for a long time, even the whole game if you want. So I wanted to grab it so people actually have a faith weapon for the recommended faith build. However, this is actually going to go more with the strength stats, so I would like to use this. Yep, our weight seems fine with our shield. Hell, we even go lighter with it. But it needs upgraded, right? So with this, we're getting blood loss, we're getting health back, which very much goes with the faith, and then we can put like flaming strike and still have that, you know, fire weapon and that faith aspect to it. So I really do like it quite a bit. And you guys just hold on to heal, you might find it useful. Aside from this, Ashes of War, flaming strike, we'll go heavy to get strength scaling. So if everyone doesn't know as far as your affinities, this is what your wet blades are for, wet knives. So standard is how it comes. Heavy will give you more strength scaling. Keen will be dex scaling, and quality is, you know, strength and dex together. Switching it to fire just does fire, right? So we'll probably go with that. Now we will get something called flame art later, which actually adds scaling to our fire damage by how much faith we have. So that's gonna be nice.
Well,
Now you guys can
rank
go
is
up and
your
talk to
result.
EG if you like. We've already cleared all of his dialogue. But remember, he still has a carry and filigree crest. He still has infinite 1s and 2s as far as somber. And then he's got limited 3s and 4s, you know, just in case you need that. So with that being said, Carrion Manor, every basic enemy there in the courtyard drops somber 2s almost every single time you kill them. So I don't think you should buy any if you need to. Just wait till next episode. We'll probably have like fucking 20. That's more than you'll ever use. Now, on the way to Carrion Manor, the last thing we really have to do is just go over here to the left-hand side. There should be a couple rats in a graveyard. Yep, right here. This is, like I said, really the last thing left on the way to the manor. The manor is what we got next, so I just want to make sure all this is done. Okay, fellas. Really use some upgrades. I'll have to do that in the episode. But blood loss at 55, look at that. Not bad. That's the other thing too. Fire and blood loss together, they go so well together, man. Because you'll find certain enemies that seem like they're resistant to almost all types of damage. Like those little oil blobs you guys saw at Castle Warren. And they're really weak to fire and blood loss. So you'll notice a lot of enemies are at least weak to one of them. So with that, Ash of War just makes this weapon very good. Very smart choice to buy you some time to get something else later on. Alright, so we can go ahead and get all of our runes back up. Now we've already grabbed main at Carrion Manor Gate a long time ago. If not, all you're doing is running, zigzagging from the arrows and, you know, getting up here. So what we're going to be doing is just jumping there so we're ready for next episode. So with that, we are fully wrapped up with the West Coast as well. So at this point, the only thing left for our Legacy Dungeon is obviously Carrion Manor and this, you know, this top portion. We got the top of the lake and then that tunnel, and that's it. You know, with the top of the lake, there's a couple caves and fights, but you know, that's really it. Just top of the lake, Carrion Manor, and then we're ready for our Legacy Dungeon. As soon as we get here, this is where the game's going to open up big way. We're going to go get you guys a lot of good stuff, so I'm pretty excited about it. But anyway, we are making really good progress. So next episode, as mentioned, we will be working our way through Carrion Manor. We'll open up with recommendations, but if you guys just want to get your loadout ready, highly recommend using fire. Don't care what your build is. There are some pain in the ass enemies that you guys are really not going to like, and fire will kind of lock them down and make them roll around and make it so much easier to put these guys out. So I would, like to recommend that you guys get set up and ready to go. But besides that, we are good. So you guys stay tuned. Please subscribe for more walkthrough, and we will catch you back here shortly.